I literally thought it was a hypo, and I'm like, welcome to Under Two Caves. I'm Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, brother?
Not much. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. And then we're here with Teladia Plays. What's up, brother?
Hey, it's great to be back for uh, a Superman talk stream, really.
Dope. So
Mhm.
today, now, okay, so we're going to be comparing Superman, James Gunn's Superman movie to Man of Steel. Now, I know that I don't have to worry about my audience, but I just want to bring this up for anyone that's watching this for the first time. It's okay to like both movies. We are going to keep this as civil as possible. In the chat, if you guys get abusive, I will remove you from the chat. So I just want to be clear on that. I will be clear of expectations. All right. So we're going to start off by first talking about, in general, our thoughts on the movie and the parts we like the most. And since I haven't talked to Teladia about the movie, I will start with you. So what do you think of Superman?
I actually loved the film for what it was. I didn't go comparing it to Man of Steel or BVS. For what it was, I enjoyed it. Me and my brother, I took my elder brother to go and see it. He loved the film as well. He was concerned that it was going to be like Superman 2, which from Richard Lester's film. He thought it was going to be like that. And I said, no, it's not going to have black cloth type of thing from the villains. You're not going to get that. Don't worry. So I kind of calmed him down there. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of giggle moments, and we definitely felt hopeful for the film, and we really enjoyed it to the point that we want to go and see it again. So we are planning to go and see it again, and the fact
quiet.
the fact that it's going to be
Sorry.
the fact that it's very hopeful and whatnot. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Robert, your thoughts on Superman?
Well, first I wanted to apologize for that. My mic popped back on when it shouldn't have. Sorry.
Okay.
But my thoughts. I really enjoyed it. The one sticking point is that one particular thing we'll bring up. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was it's my favorite Superman movie. And right behind, like, it overdid the 78 movie, in my opinion.
Wow. And that really surprises me.
Yeah, but barely. It's more because it basically, in my opinion, is the proper evolution of the 78 movie. Where the 78 movie showed it was possible, just to make it work, a movie work. This one took that and then say, okay, let's make it comic booky.
Okay, that works. I like that. As for me, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's my second favorite Superman movie. Obviously, my number one is still the other movie we're talking about today. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't necessarily... It's not the worst Superman movie, but obviously that one part of it, and we'll talk about that when we get to the negatives of it. But I'll start with the positives. The cool thing about this movie is that, yeah, Robert brought it up. It went very heavily into the comic booky elements of Superman, because ultimately, yeah, we had how many attempts of trying to tell a total grounded, down to earth Superman, and it works for the Snyderverse. But if you're trying to reboot the universe and going in a different direction, honestly, doing the whole we're going entirely fantastical is actually the smart move.
Agreed.
How about you, Teladia?
The fantastical route for Superman actually works for a film like this, and the fact that do you remember when we first saw the first look of Superman? We thought it was Solaris. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, now it might be Mixie.
No, but yeah, it was cool to see different creatures in the film, and I'm just thinking the fantastic route. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's and the way he offhandedly says, "No, don't worry, it's just an imp. They can handle it." which again, it's like it's interesting seeing a Superman movie where he's not the only superhero, like when the movie starts. So, and that's something that we had actually never seen before. It's like he can afford to like delegate. The other positive in my mind is Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. I love
Mhm.
he trusts us because we are also of the cloth. And I love the way he
We actually have a Daily Planet staff that actually does stuff. I
yeah,
mean, not a lot, but it's more than anything in any of the other movies.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's because again, it's like, and there were some people complaining that like they wasted the Daily Planet staff, but I'm like, it's not a Daily Planet movie; it's a Superman movie.
But yeah, and I'm saying this is more than we've gotten before in the past beyond Lois, who I adore her in this movie. But I'm saying for the rest of the cast, so I'm like, I'm taking what I can get.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like let me put it this way: the Daily Planet staff pretty much just adds color, for lack of a better term, coloring and like garnish to a Superman story. Essentially, it's not necessarily like they are vital components of the Superman story.
Nope, and that's true. But at the same time, it shows that they're more active in this world as opposed to just simply, "Hey Clark, hey Jimmy."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that was also really fun. I like the Justice Gang and how that's not really their name, but like Guy Gardner keeps trying to make it their name. I
Oh,
loved Metamorpho in this.
and Lex,
Yeah.
best Lex.
Yeah, I would say this is probably my favorite version of Lex Luthor, honestly.
I would say this is how Kevin Spacey's Lex should have been if they weren't trying to force the Gene Hackman-ness of it on him.
Yeah, because he's still doing technically a land deal, except he's not like, I'm going to destroy the Eastern Seaboard and turn it into real estate. No, it's like, I'm going to take over an entire country.
Exactly, and I mean seriously, with Spacey, I'm still never gonna forget the whole him stabbing him with the sun's stone, and like he's shivving him and saying, "Now fly."
Mm-hmm.
That always stuck with me about like Jesus.
Yeah, that was honestly pretty like, again, it's like Spacey, ironically, plays a really good villain. Yeah, it's really interesting about
But yeah,
that.
but Holt, yeah, basically Holt is that it's anyway this way. In my opinion, no wait, I'll get to the comparisons later.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, Teladia, what'd you think of Holt as Lex?
I really liked him as Lex. Made me like him to hate him, right?
Well, yeah, and that's what you should do. I love where he doesn't know Superman's Clark Kent, so he goes, I'll find Clark Kent and I'll kill him too." I'm like, you're gonna be looking for a long time, bro.
Yeah, it made me want to hate him a lot. It's like, and I'm just like, this is this generation's Gene Hackman, as I said
Yep.
in my video.
Mhm.
He's this generation's Gene Hackman, and the way I see it is that also I gotta mention this is that yes, we saw a little bit of the Daily Planet. I forgot to mention is that
Mhm.
I just wish there was a little bit more screen time for them.
Yeah,
know, a
but
little bit-
here's the thing, Teladia. This is about a 2-hour movie, and there's already stuffing in a lot of other characters. They can't necessarily get too deep in the weeds.
The only
No,
Come
but
in
if
like a sequel where they're able to do more stuff.
now I'll say the only Daily Planet staff who definitely got the short end of the stick was Ron Troop. We didn't even, I was like, "Oh wait, he's here." He's like, "Troop, you're with me." Us. I'm like, "Wait, Ron's here," and he never said a line. The event, the advert, the build up, the viral advertisement had more dialogue from Ron than they did. Like there's that video of Perry talking on a video, and then he said like, "Hey, Ron Troop," and introduces him. And even then, he only gets a line or two.
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, what I mean is if they had like maybe a 20, 30 minutes more extra into the film,
Eh,
it would have made more.
I say 5 or 10 is what you need for the staff.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Again, it's like this is still supposed to be a Superman movie. It's not necessarily now. If they do a daily, I've long said, and I said this on our review. How great would it be if they actually did like an office-style workplace comedy, but it's the Daily Planet staff?
And I'm gonna say it again. You mean powerless?
basically powerless. Yeah, except for the Daily Planet staff. In other words, characters that people at least recognize. And you can still have Superman and Clark Kent show up for like an episode or two. Obviously, have Clark Kent show up the most in that show, but still, you could really play around with that, and you could have a lot of screen time for the other Daily Planet people.
And I thought Rachel was more, and started off with Mrs. Maisel, a TV show. So she's still not big. I guess she's probably going to help her career a lot, but I don't think she's still at that whole unattainable to be at least a semi-regular in a show. Maybe not the star, but a semi-regular.
Yeah, exactly. Cameron says, as I've said before, I love the Silver Age feel, and honestly feels like we comic book. Yeah, exactly. It's like now is the time where, because say what you want about the MCU, but even early in the MCU when they were going full like page accurate with like Sam's Captain America suit, Wanda suit, Wolverine suit, everyone was like, oh yes, go in this direction. So I'm like, it's cool that they're finally like going full in on the wacky nature of the source material. I mean, remember, the Mortal Kombat trailer is clearly going in that direction as well.
Compared to the first movie.
Yeah, I can already tell you this movie's probably gonna be better than the first movie.
But also the Kents, really like the Kents here.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I liked where, short of that spoiler, it's like when Jonathan Kent says like, your experiences and how you react to them is what makes you.
But they say like, we don't the kids do not become the parents. We just merely give them all the information we can to be who they become, who they want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, because what that gets into is that it's like how you have like, stories where Superman lands in other like parts of the world, or like an apocalypse in the case of that Elseworld story, and that's the part that changes, and Superman at first turns evil.
Yep. Now I will say this: I do not see them as being as much of the stage giving advice compared to post-crisis Superman.
Yeah, it's more of like we're just, because here's the thing that I like it better if they don't have all the answers, because
oh yeah,
your son's a superhero. Huh? What are you gonna do?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Teladia, your thoughts on the Kents?
I really thought the Kents were really good, portrayed really well. It's the first time on live action, on the big screen, that we got to see Ma and Pa Kent alive and Clark being Superman actively. So the only time we've actually seen something like that is Lois and Clark, yeah, on the 90s. That was the last time we actually saw something.
Technically, at least Martha got to see him active in Superman and Lois.
Yes, in Superman and Lois, but for the Ma and Pa Kent thing,
for
I
both
think
of them, yeah, it was probably that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say. Which again, it's like there are some Superman fans on Twitter, and Robert knows what I'm referring to, that prefer it if the Kents are like alone, and I think that's part of an overemphasis on wanting Lois to be the only thing that brings him to like that keeps him grounded in humanity. Because here's the thing. My critique of the argument that Lois is like the one force that grounds him and makes him human is that he was raised human. He thought he was human in the beginning. But anyway, it's an anti-Lois thing. What I mean is like when you try, because arguably because of how they raised him and stuff, the Kents are the most important characters in DC.
Yeah.
Extension.
I guess that even their equivalent in Red Son raised him deep down to be a decent person. It's just that he's instead of capitalism, it's communism. It's what drives it. But he was still, for the most part, a good person.
Yeah, exactly. So there was that. And it's like, so there was that. Let's see what else. The suit did not bother me as much as I thought it was. I didn't notice it. So
Crypto.
Hmm?
Crypto.
Crypto was great. Crypto was both good and a weakness. When I get to the criticisms. Actually, no, screw it. You guys want to start talking about criticism?
I just want to say one thing
yeah.
about the suit though, is that I had to give the suit a chance, right? Like I watched it, I thought, okay, kind of understand why David would have said to um, James to not put the trunks on the suit. I get it because the fear of kids and stuff. That I totally understand. But I mean, James should have just gone no trunks, man. I'm still no trunks.
I appreciate that. Yeah, me too. But I'm like, let me put it this way: for the position, position we're in, what I'm talking about is like it didn't look like it bunched up as much as it did in the marketing. The marketing did this suit no favors. Let's face it.
Yeah. By the way, I want to make one. I want to get to one point, and it's off of what MJ said.
Yeah.
Trust me, that is a minuscule lowest fans, because I do most of them I know of are post-credits where they accept both. I do not know many who say they should be dead just to make her important.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, this is the first time hearing that. In all my years of a Superman fan, I never heard such people existed. So that tells you how, for me anyway, rare they are.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So I'm going to start with the not obvious criticism, because let's face it, there's one plot hole. Someone brought this up on my Superman stream, so I want to make sure it's addressed here. Why didn't Superman use his X-ray vision to see under Ultraman's mask?
Lead line?
But they never told us it was lead line.
No, but knowing Lex, he would have.
That's the criticism. Yeah, that's the response that I kind of had, which I'm like, should they have told us if they really won't want to go for that? Maybe, but it's like, okay, I can believe that counter, Robert.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, that's a case where I think it's one of those goes without saying kind of things.
Yeah, but the thing is like if you want to directly explain stuff to people, if this is the first thing on Superman, because of the things about Superman, I would argue that he can't see through lead is one of the more obscure parts of him.
True. Now, I think we saved the big criticism for last.
That's what I was saying.
One of my criticisms is some of the stuff makes it feel like it's happening in too quick of a time. Now, for the most part, because I remember they used to have, it was supposed to go across multiple days, and they would have day cards. And while for the most of the movie you don't need that, the evacuation you did.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, evacuating in 5 minutes. Now, I've heard the counter that because this world is like used to superheroes and all this stuff, that they would have like fast evacuations. But I
can see a day. I can see a day, and which is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the next day, not 5 minutes. But it makes it feel like it was 5 minutes. That's what I'm saying. I saw that as this is the end of the evacuation, not the start.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that kind of proved it when there was only that one woman left in her car. It's like, yeah, this was near the end of it.
And my criticism, and it goes into the crypto stuff, but it's under the same umbrella. There were, yes, there wasn't as much humor in this movie than I expected to be, but there were a few times where the humor was placed inappropriately, where it undermined dramatic moments, and some jokes were repeated way too often.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really that. And the big criticism is like my main points of contention against me. But let me ask you this, Teladia. What were some of your criticisms of the movie?
Besides the big one.
Okay, so my criticism was that it was short.
Okay.
Firstly, secondly, I felt that was there any need to bring Hawk? Like, was there any need to bring Hawkgirl into it? If she's not gonna have a major role into it, was there any need for her to be there? Because I felt that I understand why she would why she would be in the film. I get it because of the Justice Gang, but at the same time, the Green Lantern and Mister Terrific had more of a role compared to her, which I think was unfair.
That's true. That is true. But
Yeah.
I think it was more of like to establish that. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's like again, I wonder because at least from what I've heard, there is a like extended cut of the movie that would release on the DVD, so maybe that'll have more stuff. But it's like, yeah, that is kind of true. How she's particularly doesn't do much stuff here, but still.
Wait a minute. Cameron, what civilian casualties besides one person?
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's the thing. I am. This is like a criticism of the Superman fandom, so I'm gonna like go with that. I hate how now in superhero media we have to announce, "Don't worry, the place has been like evacuated." Because here's the thing: it takes away the stakes if they're fighting in an empty city.
True, but I think that's why they had it be here that there were people. It was just one part of the city that was evacuated, and the other ones are like, oh crap.
No, but still, it takes away like the stakes of what's happening if there's like little chance of civilian casualties.
But it would also undermine the heroes if it happened under their watch and they didn't do anything to prevent it. Especially with how much destruction we see happening, it would bad upon them if they're just like, oh, people are falling to their deaths.
Well, the other thing that I don't that I felt was a little much was the saving of the squirrel.
That was done for laughs, I think.
Still, because it's like I feel like that's a little bit of an overcorrection for like Man of Steel and stuff.
True, but at the same time, no. I felt like, of course, but at the same time, it's something he would do, dude. It's something Superman would do.
Yeah, it is, but it's not. I don't think it's really. In this case, it kind of at least in my opinion, it didn't work as well. Anyway,
Fair enough. But
so now,
but I say quickly, I think it's because it works for me because you also had the dog, so it was just two animals.
oh, the dog! I love the dog where he's super pressing the dog away because it won't move.
I thought it was gonna freeze it for a sec. I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Oh no, okay, he's good. He's good.
I thought it was frost breath at first as well. Now let's talk. Now, do you guys want to talk about the positives of Man of Steel next, or go straight to criticisms?
Positive of Man of Steel.
All right. Now, Robert, I'm going to start with you. What are some positives of Man of Steel?
I thought, okay, it looks nice. Okay, I'm not gonna be petty. I'm kidding. But for me, the acting was strong. Cavill did a real good job with what he was given. I thought the action was really good. I thought that a lot of him being Superman, I would say this, up until the climax, it worked. For me, it was once we got to all the big action pieces when the Kryptonians showed up. And again, it's less of a case of the movie itself and more the fact that they went this route. My stance is always going to be, this should not have been the plot of, the big plot and climax of the first movie. If you're going to have this level of destruction, no. But I'm just saying, no, but for me, that's what I'm saying. For the positives of it, it's everything else around before the climax. Everything else, minus a few sequences here and there. But for me, throughout so much of it, the Krypton stuff was really good. Him trying to find himself, I thought that was fine.
Yeah, it's very John Byrne. With me, visually, the movie still holds up. First off, I'm just gonna say that the Krypton stuff, even though that got criticism for spending like so much time on Krypton, and I go, you have to do that because it establishes the context around the whole movie.
And 78 did the same thing.
And 78, people, well, in 78 it's much shorter, but I'm ignoring that. I liked they showed Superman's growth and how you can kind of see how like the world's too big, mom, but focus on one thing and it's like to find your North Star. I really appreciate that.
Oh,
I like
one other
Mark.
thing. Sorry, I forgot one other bit. You Are My Son is also my favorite moment.
Yep, I love that. That is 100% great. I loved Jor-El explaining what the House of L logo is. He goes, "It's a fundamental belief in the potential of every person to be a force for good." That explains Superman's relationship with Lex as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. I liked Michael Shannon. The casting in this was great. I love Michael Shannon as Zod.
Yep.
Like, I will fight him.
That's right up there with Neil before. I mean, okay, is he a Terrence Stamp? Does he replace Terrence Stamp for me? No, but he rivals him.
And you notice when Superman arrives at the Kryptonian ship, when he first meets Zod, he kneels before him because of the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that. I liked honestly, I liked how well paced this movie was, how it just moves throughout this. And it was paced very well. Again, I think that the other thing that I liked the depiction of his powers, and I liked how Zack set stuff up that will be explained later. Like, why couldn't Superman put his hand in front of over Zod's eyes? Because when he's fighting Feora, and Feora had her hand on his eyes like this is when the heat vision first became like a laser beam, and it knocked the hand away.
Right.
So it's like that explained. And I know people didn't like the no-kill thing, but the thing about that, and really the whole third act, and we'll talk about that, is like the idea that was essentially him. Because what people kind of don't understand is like with that level of destruction, that level of like combat. First off, again, they were going for a more grounded, like realistic, this is what would happen, and that's what would happen if two gods fought. Realistically, that's what happens in the comics when they fight. But the other thing, it's like the thing is like, particularly with the Zod killing, what that ended up doing, it's like Superman had to essentially choose between his people, between like essentially reviving his people, but it would come at too great a cost, or his new home, and he chose his new home.
I'll make an argument when we get to the criticisms on that one. I'm holding off on that one.
All right. Teladia, what did you like about Man of Steel?
Okay, so Man of Steel was a very good origin film for a starting point for a Superman film, right? And I felt that it mixed Superman 1 and 2 from Christopher Reeve's era into one film, which I thought was a brilliant idea. And I also liked the fact that in this film that you got to see Clark's humanity, so to say. Like if you know what I mean, like his upbringing, him trying to come to terms with his powers and what he should do, what is right, what is wrong. If you know what I'm saying, Jared, it's like, and on top of that, I felt that as well with this film, the first, I would say that last half of the film was really action packed, and I felt that the Zod and Superman fight was really interesting. A lot of Easter eggs, a lot of there's a lot of cool moments in the film that which I think live up to expectations, and the flight scene as well.
First flight,
yeah.
Definitely love that one.
So that will never be forgotten. So, and I felt that in this context of things, it's just that I think Man of Steel is still my number one film. Don't get me wrong, Man of Steel is still my number one film. I still have love for it, because then a lot of people are gonna say to me, "You're just a gun chill" or something like that, right?
Oh Lord,
screw them. Because here's the thing: you're capable of liking both.
Yeah,
even I agree with that.
And the thing is like I like both, and the thing is for different reasons. Man of Steel brought a different sort of take to the character. Yeah, it was more grounded and realistic, which I like, but I also like the fact that he had his own theme song. It had its own theme, which is
its own essential identity. I like that. And here's the thing: this is a positive thing of both films, because they're both drastically different it doesn't feel like you're essentially watching the same movie. And
Exactly.
that is an advantage, because that way because it would really suck if they're rebooting the universe and just doing what Zack did, but without Zack. That would make them look really crappy.
And even the use of the Williams theme, they still made it unique in Superman.
That's a critique I have, but we'll see on that. But by the way,
right.
This doesn't necessarily mean we won't get maybe a more darker, grounded Superman movie with Cornsweet later down the line. It's just for the first one, let's start with a more classic Superman. That's fine. That totally worked for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got to mention this is that when it comes down to Man of Steel as well, is that when we see Clark, through the ages, like from young to teenager to adulthood, you see like the different, his he has to control himself. He can't let his emotions get the best of him, right? And you see that, and that's the positive side about Man of Steel, which I think is really unique. Like,
so for critiques of Superman, okay. Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say on that. NJ, he did Batman versus Superman versus Doomsday. Wonder Woman was like the part that everyone's like, this is awesome. So
like, unless I think NJ means a solo fight.
But it's like he wasn't handling the Wonder Woman movie. That was Patty Jenkins. So the point is, Wonder Woman got many epic action scenes. Actually, Zack Snyder's Justice League, she fought Steppenwolf many times. Anyway, so onto this. Now, I understand what you're saying, Robert, about the Superman theme. Here is the slight issue that at least I have. Because when I hear that theme, when Cornsweet does like heroic stuff, even if it's slightly different, I think of Christopher Reeves and not Cornsweet. Whereas in Man of Steel, when Superman does stuff and they play the Man of Steel theme for the most part, I think of Henry Cavill.
May I be honest with my criticism with the Man of Steel music? Sure. Aside from some, like, I'm pretty sure, the flight theme, which is that his theme, the first flight, which have music.
That's the one that they played when he fought Steppenwolf. So I'd imagine so.
Okay, if that's his theme, then that's at least a little memorable. But it's like, for the most part, it's the problem I've had with, say, some other, when they try to do like the Batman or what, and other movies when they've had the standard, it really has to catch me and be something that I would always go back to. And good music as it was, Man of Steel just never had that clincher that was able to compete. Like, I could still remember Raimi's Spider-Man theme more so than I could a Man of Steel theme.
Well, yeah, you also had the dun 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 when he's like talking to his father and stuff. So you have that, but it's like, yeah, I understand that. It's like, could the music have been better?
More standouting is what I say.
That's fine, and you know what? That's a valid critique. It's just my the criticism with me is that for the degree with Cornsweet, I get what they're doing and what they're homaging, and that's fine. That works. But it's like, it would have made Cornsweet like his own Superman, because it's, in some ways, when you're using that theme, it feels too much like you're, at least to me, like you're trying to emulate like you're trying to make him basically Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. By the way, Cameron's question right there, actually they do kind of bring that up. She basically buys what Lex is selling.
She is another critique I had, because she didn't do much, and here's my problem with her. They could have just made her Mercy Graves.
Exactly, I agree with that.
She was pretty much just the Mercy Graves of this movie.
And Daniel, well, the standout scene here is the kaiju scene, if you ask me.
Yeah, and the fight where Superman is battling all the raptors and stuff. That was still
that was cool.
Another thing I have to praise Superman for: fan-freaking-tastic action scenes.
Yep, yes. Definitely. So yeah, those are definitely the standouts.
Yeah. So in terms of more criticisms of this movie, let's get to the big one, Robert, because I mentioned the humor. Okay, so to make it different, and this is something from the comics, but it's something that but it's my opinion that not everything from the comics has to be adapted. They made it so, and it looks like that this is not like, oh, the message has been tampered with. Like, this is legit. They made it so instead of sending him there to save Earth and like serve the people and like be a protector, the elves sent him to Earth to propagate Kryptonians and rule over Earth. They basically made him a Viltrumite.
I don't get it. This makes but here's the other thing. Yes, they've been done in the comics. Elseworlds.
Yeah, and
or it's the Kryptonians, but Jor-El and Lara are the exceptions, not in on it.
And then Ethan Van Sciver had a take on this that I'm like, bleh. Like he basically said it's meant to like separate like Superman from his birth parents as he should be, and I go, no. Sorry.
No,
sorry.
I disagree with that one. And I do notice that Mark Waid even he's one of those things. Lex tampered with it. Even he thinks that.
Yeah, but James Gunn has basically said otherwise. So
yeah,
I think honestly, the people saying tampered with are the same people that when asked about when critiquing the Superman suit said, "Oh, we'll get a new suit at the end of the movie." Guess what we didn't get?
No, I will say this. I still feel there is some evidence. Like I said, the language and speaking of the first half does not match the second half. There's something
that happens sometimes when the message is damaged from like crashing, though.
No. It wouldn't be rewritten, completely reworked, where they're talking more elegantly and everything, and then the next part they're talking so bluntly. You don't change that. That doesn't change from being damaged.
He's got a point, you know.
But the first one, they're talking all this big talk and everything, and the next one's like, "Oh, we're sending here to conquer and have many wives." It's like way too blunt compared to the first half.
Maybe, and this is a big maybe. Maybe the scene just wasn't written well.
That is possible. That is possible.
Because
again,
based upon the fact that Gunn tried to make the Supergirl writer make the Kryptonians evil in her movie, that's when I'm like, no, that's legit. Because if it wasn't, he would just leave it.
No, I know. I can accept. I can begrudgingly accept that was intentional. I'm just saying that there is at least some reason why people can believe it was faked.
Yeah, and Don J, those rumors are BS. Don't believe those rumors. So, yeah. So, Teladia, what do you think of the Kryptonians being conquerors? Because didn't they do a similar thing in My Adventures with Superman?
Yes, they did. They did a similar thing in My Adventure with Superman, which I know you hate, like you don't like the show. So I won't go too much in depth into that. But yeah, they did a similar thing into that show. I think maybe Gunn took inspirations from that. I'm just put his take. Took inspirations from that and just put a twist on it, maybe. Which would be I know for the context for the film, yeah, it's a dumb thing to do, but it's an interesting move, though. In my opinion, it's an interesting move and a very ballsy move to do. So,
here's the thing. I think Gunn was trying to make this his Brainiac is from Krypton change.
Well, then he should have had something to set that up, because so far he has.
Agreed.
Here's the thing. If that's true, if you're making this drastic a thing, you need to at least have something in there that explicitly sets up the fact that nothing is as it seems.
Exactly. So who can say? But
yeah, but besides that.
Oh no! What I meant. Wait a minute. A little correction. I don't think you understand what I meant. I meant was how Bruce Timm made a change from something like everyone knows this. No, wait, they don't. So they made a change that was that drastic and everything.
Bruce Timm, it's like he thought of like okay, so what if Brainiac was like a Kryptonian AI? And then he goes, oh, the fans are gonna hate that because it's changing. And then he goes, yeah, but the story potential's there. So that's what inspired him to do that.
Well, that's what he also has flat out said. No, wait, not everyone knows that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more than that. It's so I'll wait and see like when it gets to like Supergirl if they address it at all. Here's the other thing. Why wouldn't so Kara shows up at the end of this movie. That's one of the parts I hated, but regardless. So Kara's been there for like a certain amount of time. She probably speaks Kryptonian. Why did she translate the message?
Well, because now wait, they didn't have the access to the second half. Remember that. They didn't even have access to it.
No. How about even the first part? He could say, "Oh yeah, Kara translated the first half," where they're like, "Yes, to protect the world and such." They didn't.
Well, to be fair, again, I think this goes back to since he already had the people, his robots and everything translated. If you notice though, we never went to the robots for him to clarify. We never had that.
The robots were taken out. Also, question. It's like hopefully they'll like set this up in Supergirl, but it's like I feel like to like make it aligned and not have to like pull rank over the right of Supergirl, Gunn will probably have it where like Zor-El or whatever the name of Kara's parents are were the good Kryptonians.
Again, reverse lobing it,
and I go, all right, but regardless, yeah. Go ahead.
I gotta ask you this question then, because I know you're not a big fan
of that,
of that particular thing.
No.
I'm gonna ask you but what did you think of the Supergirl costume design?
Costume design looked great. It looks really good, and it looks pretty much like the comics costume, and I appreciate that. That's really
cool. I did like the punchline that this is why Krypto's so rowdy.
Yeah, I like that. That was my other thing. It's like they played the rowdy part a little, and it goes into my critique of them repeating jokes way too much.
And I'll say this. And the funny thing is, the payoff for it of him using that to attack Ultraman, really, they put more emphasis on get the toy than they did him tackling someone who looked just like him.
Mm-hmm. You know what's also interesting?
Yeah,
is they just recently did that in Superman Unlimited, where Krypto went to get the toy, attack the toy. So in the latest issue.
That's
cool. It's kind of interesting that there's a cohesion type of thing. But I'll be honest with you, I fell in love with Krypto.
Yep.
He's
a good dog.
The potential's there.
The potential is there. And I'm just like, man, Krypto's making me laugh too much. And it's like, I even said this to my elder brother, and I was like, dude, I need Krypto. I want to have a dog. And he said, no.
Okay. And by the way, Cameron, I get that criticism. Here's my way of looking at it.
Let me read the comment first, please.
Sorry.
You're telling me the engineer with Nanos was able to fix a Kryptonian message. Yeah, that's my other issue, and the robots couldn't.
I do have a way of justifying that. Robots do not seem to have a way of actually integrating into the machines. They're just robots that type and everything, can probably understand it, but they cannot incorporate themselves as deeply as engineer can. And it's like some way, I mean, because my dad's a computer engineer, so it's a way, there are some things you could do, like for example, hard coding into it that are going that deep into the code that you can't normally do from a surface level. So I think that's what the explanation is. She's going literally injecting herself into the code, and I believe they're basically showing us that the robots are not capable of that.
They couldn't like R2D2 plug into the machine though?
Again, no. That's still a case of you plug yourself in, but you're not incorporated. It's like she's like almost like going into the Matrix kind of style. They are more just like plug it like a USB plug-in instead.
R2D2.
They should have explained that though, because here's the thing. I get that they can't explain everything, but at least clarify some of the like inconsistencies a little bit. Like, say I told you we can't act. It's a problem with the code and not the hardware or something like that.
Yeah, that could be it too. That could it be a case where it was just that, and they basically made it clear it was that one bit of corruption that was blocking out the whole thing.
Yeah, it could be that. Now, critiques about Man of Steel. Now, I'll start. Now, The thing is, I do admit that they went a little too Michael Bay with the destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But particularly in like the Smallville scene where there's like trains throwing everywhere, and the fact that there was so much product placement in Smallville. Like, you at least put some of it in Metropolis. It makes sense if Metropolis has all of this stuff here. But anyway, so Robert, besides Jonathan Kent, your critique of Man of Steel, like your problems.
One, adding on to the destruction stuff, what did it for me was he saved us. And then how much of Metropolis was not just destroyed, was leveled, as in flat ground.
Yeah, but he saved the world from blowing up.
No, I know, but it kind of, I'm just saying, it's that, how that shock is. Now, here's something that I won't blame Man of Steel on directly. It's the fact that it wasn't paid off on in follow-up movies. The killing of Zod. It's a case where, like, for example, was The Force Awakens. I accepted a lot of the bull crap with Ray was able to do because they thought they'd be able to explain it later. Because they didn't explain it later, it hurt the previous movie, and subsequent viewings of the movie. Here, him killing did not seem to have much of an effect beyond the yell.
Yeah,
and,
I'll give you that.
And in conjunction to what you were saying about him making a choice, he already did that when he said Krypton had its chance. So this was kind of double dipping.
But still, it's like, what are they going to do with Zod? There's no kryptonite yet, and no prison's going to hold him. He has powers now.
Oh, no. And now that part I got. That was a case where the writers wrote themselves into this.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's more how the payoff, there wasn't one. Just beside the,
And I feel like there would have been in two if they had done that. But anyway.
And lastly, a lot of the emphasis, and this is where one thing I still feel Superman did right. While both of them were trying to show the idea of being of hope, Man of Steel and throughout a lot of Snyderverse put too much emphasis on the deityness of he's like a god and everything. Like when you have both in this and BVS people reacting, especially in BVS, them touching him and all that stuff, it's like that's not hope, that's worship. And that's where I feel like a lot of the message was lost when you took too much emphasis on these are like Marvel is the down to earth people, these are the gods. You don't put that much emphasis on the gods without losing connection with the audiences.
I understand that. That's a good question. That's a good thing. And
yeah, those are my criticisms. Besides Jonathan.
We'll talk about that in a second. But Teladia, your criticisms of Man of Steel.
Okay, so my criticism of Man of Steel is that what I was gonna say, the like I didn't like the idea of them of the whole them getting rid of Jor-El, like the AI
thing.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of them getting rid of that because I felt that in the Superman mythos, Jor-El has always been a guiding light for Superman. It's not been like where he's disappeared, right? But it's like in Man of Steel, they got rid of him, and it's like, and then I start to wonder, how does that lead into Zack Snyder's Justice League? How does he say these things to Clark? Is it in between Man of Steel when he's talking, going through him while he's getting his suit, or there's those types of questions for me,
I understand. Yeah, the other criticism that I have is that they set up that the Kryptonian scout ship was going to be his Fortress of Solitude, which that in and of itself works, but then it just crashes in the middle of the city.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm like, that I get. It would be cool if it was that, because that kind of works, but still. Now let's talk about the Jonathan Kent scene. By the way, Don J, we're not gonna talk about Batman versus Superman. We're just talking about Gunn's Superman versus Man of Steel. So, all right. So Jonathan Kent. Now, this could be a little bit of a debate thing, but Robert, it feels like it was the topic when we first met. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, yep, definitely was.
Although nowadays we know each other more. So there you go. All right. So let's talk about the scene. So, Robert, Talk about your problems.
Okay. My big problem is the biggest problem. And we have one bit where he tells them, you can be what you want. Like, you are my son and all that stuff. And basically, he makes it seem like he has an option. But then, any point after that, it's like he's going everything out of his way to take away that option and say, you must hide it. You must do it. It's like you're kind of giving mixed signals here. And then, once he does that, here's the biggest thing of all. It's and there's so many ways around this. It's this whole notion. Like, I prefer my Pa Kent to be the one who, and I'm not saying it's like he does what Jor-El couldn't. He gives a different bit of advice, and that's but they're both. I prefer where they both give the same advice, but in different contexts through different lenses, because one's human, one's Kryptonian, and I would prefer that as opposed to going too grounded, too realistic of he doesn't want his son to do this because he's terrified of what will happen to his son. It should be a case where he should say, like from Burn Superman, if you make the decision, you can't put that genie back in the bottle, but I'm not going to stop you from making that decision. Whereas this felt like you can't, and once you let it out, you let it out, and I'm going to make sure you don't do it.
Okay. Counterpoint. By the way, great points.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thoughts on that and why it doesn't really bother me. Because first off, it's Golden Age stuff. Second off, it's essentially the way I kind of see it is he wasn't telling him never be Superman. He's just saying the world's not ready yet because if they ever find out what you can do, hell, Batman versus Superman kind of proves that Jor-El was right. But beyond that, I feel like when people bring up the whole, what was it supposed to do? Just let them die. And then Jonathan just says, maybe there are two ways to look at that. Number one, John's not sure. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. I keep saying, assume I'm talking about Jonathan, okay?
I said he should say maybe, but I don't. Yeah, but I don't know her. But I'm not sure. That would have helped than just simply maybe and leave it there.
But here's my counterpoint to that. When people say they forget about the scene that happens afterwards, because here's the thing: when he shows him the ship, explains all this stuff before the "Can I just pretend I'm your son?"
Mm-hmm.
He says you're going to have to make a choice about what type of man you're going to be, about whether or not you're going to stand between the mankind or not. I at least to me, the way I interpret the scene is it's got don't ask me. I don't know what to do. It's got to be your choice, but think this through.
Oh yeah. And that was the point I made. That's exactly it. Then it feels like though by the time of the tornado sequence, he's then decided, it's like Jonathan decided to change his mind and be like, no, I'm going to make sure you still don't do it, because he should have I think Jonathan like that should have realized what this death would have done. This would have made him be, even when the time's right, he might not do it. This is going to be a case where it's going to have a backfiring effect, but because he felt like, no, this is what I must do, he's comfortable with it and is not thinking about the consequences.
I think he was, because like because at that point it was still like enough with like the internet, and it was like it would have gotten out that there was like this weird that there's this guy was saved by a tornado and stuff. There's no way you could have kept that a secret.
Except here's the thing: this is a small town. Everyone knows each other. They would have kept it a secret.
I highly doubt that. And again, this is not the comic booky Smallville.
Fair enough.
Actually, here's an interesting point for that. You saw how Pete Ross's mom acted after the bus thing. She says it was an act of God, Jonathan. It's like she went on this whole thing. There's no way anyone's gonna have as like rational a reaction as like in the comics.
By the way, I do find that funny that Superman smashes the Klan did the reversal where, oh my God, he's a devil.
Yeah, exactly. I know, right? But that was really my point with that. It's like because remember, if you're like a parent, let's say, and we're in today's world, because remember, that's what Man of Steel is. It's Superman in today's world. Now, we can talk about whether or not they should have gone in that direction, but then again, remember, it was Nolan. But still, in the context of where we are, this is exactly what would happen.
Oh yeah, and I'll say this: I don't blame Zach for this. He didn't write this. He was not involved with the story. The story was already written. I don't blame Zach
Now,
like
here's
some
the
people.
thing. Could the tornado scene have been done a lot better? Yes.
Yes.
Like what I would have done, and I talked to Nick about this years back, but what they could have done, at least like make it so part of the road like collapses, like separating Jonathan from Clark, make it impossible.
Or how about
can't save him?
Or how about this? He's starting to have a heart attack at the same time, so he was doomed regardless.
That too. Also remember, now here's the part that kind of saves it. And saves like the Smallville fight, and then like the Zod fight. Here's the thing: this is a Clark that doesn't know his own, essentially doesn't know his own strength, because when you get to like the tornado scene, his powers are just showing up. So he didn't know he had like super speed per se. So let's go start with that. In the Metropolis fight, has powers for like a day, and he's fighting people that have like trained to be warriors their entire lives.
Oh, which is funny because usually, like, I still remember, usually it's a case where he has the advantage.
Yeah, and I felt that was kind of cool how they flipped it, because it's like, and that's how I like justify Zod like mastering his like powers so fast, because he's trained to like focus.
Right, but like I said, I mean, personally, like I said, most of my problems are from decisions that were outside of it. Like on the movie on its own, it's fine. I will still stand by they shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Like they should, as writers, they should have realized the consequences of everything and not just do it because do it.
Well, okay, let's talk about the context of Man of Steel, because remember, Nolan had just done all three of those movies. Now, did Warner Brothers assume that because Grounded Batman works, Grounded Superman would work? Yeah, and to a degree, you can ground Superman, but you could make the argument that they went a little too far on that.
Yeah, I would say so, and this is why I think in the long run that was the big problem. Is you cannot overcompensate with uber groundedness and think that general audiences are all going to accept it.
Well, here's the thing. The general audience did accept it, though. Short of like the loudmouths on Twitter, it did well enough. Now, here's the thing. Did you hear about a scene that David Goyer wanted to do, but couldn't, that relates to the killing Zod moment?
What did Goyer want to do?
And stop me if you heard about this. So Goyer was on the Josh Horowitz podcast. One thing he said is that he wanted to set up the killing Zod. So he wanted to have a scene where Pa Kent takes Clark on a hunting trip, and Clark obviously takes a shot on a deer and like grazes it, but then Pa Kent has to like finish the job. But Pa Kent tells him essentially to never take the decision to take a life lightly.
That would have worked.
Yeah, he was like, no, he's like, do not, because this is a big thing. To like be very sure if you do this.
That was fine.
Yeah.
That would have worked. But again, that also, I think the other thing is that would have set up, there would have still been an emotional consequence afterwards.
Yeah, and the way Goyer describes it, he couldn't do it for time. So I'm like, yeah, that's understandable. Understandable. But yeah, it's like maybe it would have been cool to have like as a deleted scene. But anyway, but the point is that in my head canon, it still happens because it's like there's plenty of time in between the movie. But
right.
All in all, now let me ask you this, Robert. How do you rate Man of Steel out of 10?
I give it a strong 7.9, so 1 point lower than Superman, but I still gave it that.
Honestly, that's higher than I thought you were going to give it.
Oh yeah, dude, trust me. One, I've seen Superman 3 and 4.
Well, yeah, exactly. I saw someone's like rating of Superman, by the way, that put like Man of Steel, that put like all the Snyder movies below 3 and 4.
And I'll put this, I've seen Returns.
Yeah. Now, actually, you know what, Teladia, let me ask you this: what did you think of the Jonathan Kent so stuff that Robert and I were talking about? Did it bother you, or were you like totally fine with it?
Bothered me a little bit, to be honest with you,
Okay, that's fine. Why? Go on.
because I don't like hunting. Like I
No.
don't like.
I'm not talking about the hunting thing. I'm talking about the Jonathan Kent stuff that was actually in Man of Steel.
Oh, sorry. I
That's
thought you're
okay.
talking about that. I thought you're talking about the hunting thing, which I did.
No. But go on.
But in terms of like Jonathan Kent trying to teach him moral stuff,
Mhm.
I think that's interesting.
Mhm.
But I also think as well, I wish it came from Jor-El. Like
It
giving
did
it
though, partly.
partly, but I wish it came from his Kryptonian sides because if you think about it, he's from Krypton and it would have made a lot more sense for Jor because you remember in his speech, Jor says you can the race behind you they'll stumble they'll fall, but in time they'll join you in the sun,
Yeah.
right? When he said that, I think that there should have been more like he could go back to the fortress or the scout ship. So
Mhm.
his first for example his first flight
Mhm.
or whatever first flight and his first interaction with Lois, maybe go back to the scout ship and have a
Uh,
discussion about his powers and why you should
may
do
I?
it.
May I?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me make one of those things. I already felt like the movie already gave so much praise to Jor-El over at the expense of Jonathan,
Mhm.
in my opinion, on it, that I feel like it wasn't necessary. They already had a B. Jonathan was trying to say, don't, here, and
Wait.
I'm overly simplifying it.
Mhm.
I'm overly simplifying it. I am not saying this is literally what happened, but on a surface level, it felt like Jonathan was saying, don't do it yet. If I don't do it at all, again, I'm over exaggerating. And then Gerard's like, no, go do it.
Okay, and yeah, so I understand that. But Samir says his ranking of Superman is Superman the movie, Superman 25, Man of Steel, Superman 2 Returns. Yeah, that's a good ranking. I can respect that. I can respect
Mm-hmm.
that. But yeah, so and the way I rate James, so Teladia, how do you rate James Gunn's Superman out of 10?
9 easily.
Okay,
It's
with me
Eight.
it's
amazing that
Yep.
more.
because
Yeah, go ahead.
the reason why I give it a 9 is because it was a film that my brother enjoyed, I enjoyed, and we're planning to see it again. And furthermore, there was a lot of things that I wanna enjoy, and it makes me want to go and see it because I want to get more humor and I want to laugh more
Mhm.
and want to be able to go back there and have enjoyment,
Yeah.
right? Because
Hey,
I enjoyed the first time and it's like I want to do that again.
yeah,
And I
I definitely plan on seeing it again because I want. I always like to at least see the movie twice so I can like get all the all the other stuff I missed. But yeah, I give it a 7 out of 10 because the humor kind of takes me out of it and the Kryptonian part. But
Oh,
compared to how low I could have given it, a 7 out of 10 is actually
wait.
pretty fair.
Before
How
we
about you,
wrap up,
Robert?
there's one. But before I wrap up,
Mhm.
I was right. There was one other comparison I didn't do.
Okay.
Lois.
Oh yeah, both Lois's were actually pretty decent. Now here's the thing: I like in Man of Steel. Lois actually figures out he's Superman like instantly.
That I will give it because again, it was going for groundedness and grounded realistically. Someone's going to figure it out. I buy it for that, but for me, I personally still feel that Rachel was more comic accurate than Amy.
And to be clear, I liked Rachel as Lois, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
give you that. So it's not like I hate her as Lois.
And I will tell you this: I personally feel Amy would softball Clark on questions. That's just the vibe I get from her. I have the feeling she would softball him,
But
whereas
she
we as
didn't
Rena.
go in Man of Steel.
No, I'm saying once they actually start dating and everything, I have the feeling
Well,
she would. She would.
okay, based on what?
And it's just how the chemistry felt with those two. That's how it felt. That's for me from how the chemistry felt like. That's just my gut reaction.
Yeah, but from a surface level, if I looked at the chemistry of Rachel and David, I could make the assumption about them.
True, but then we actually saw actions that showed otherwise. Whereas Amy, Okay, no, you're right. She did. You know what? You're right.
Mhm.
But well, to be fair though, but like I said, the argument could be those hardball questions were when she was still trying to figure him out.
She
So
still
she's
gave him hardball questions
no, I'm I
throughout
know,
the
I'm no,
movie.
I know. I'm saying no. It's during that. Okay, you know what? I'm shooting myself in the foot.
Yeah,
I acknowledge it. I acknowledge it. My argument is falling apart. I'm withdrawing from it. I
it's all
withdraw my argument.
it's
But
all
it's all
good, dude.
good.
Don't worry
It's all
about it.
good.
It's all good.
No, no, I
Eh,
know. I'm just making it clear. Like, no, I withdraw my argument. It's falling apart on me. I'm acknowledging it. Sorry.
And with me, I give Man of Steel about a 9 out of 10. It's great, not perfect, but it holds up remarkably well. So,
Yep.
that's what I'll say on that.
For me, for Man of Steel
Yeah, yeah.
personally, it's a 9.3 on
Oh.
the scale.
That
Oh.
works.
All right. But yeah, for me, like I said, for me, for Superman 25, 8.9 still.
Yep, that works. That works. And you see, here's the cool part. So Teladia and I are guys that prefer a Man of Steel over James Gunn's Superman, but we still like Superman. Robert's the opposite. You see how we can have a civil conversation about a character and franchise we both love?
And notice also how I was making a inaccurate argument. I withdraw once they actually pointed out. I didn't double down like some people do.
This is the way you have a debate. What you do is you say, okay, I acknowledge what you said. Here's what I think. And then maybe you come to some understanding. Because even when Robert and I first met, we used to be at each other's throats until we actually got to know each other. And we were like, oh, okay, he's actually really cool.
I'm still never going to forget that. We just, again, you came on, all of a sudden, a fellow friend of ours made the anti-Lois comment, and I just originally F you.
Because let me be clear, Robert. At that time I was used to my problem. I was painting with a large brush because up until that point I had not encountered normal Clovis fans.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Knowing now the handful of crazy, zealot Clovis fans, which I still stand by, are not even close to the majority.
And I'll back that up. What did you want to say, Teladia?
The reason why I gave Man of Steel 9.3 was it was my first experience that I took my mom to go and see a Superman film with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I gave it a 9.3 because she felt attached to Mark Kent in this film.
I like that. For me, the reason why I give Man of Steel a 9 is because this was the first movie where I got Superman. Because here's the thing. Previous to this, I was a Batman guy. And I thought Superman was like the weeb, like the... in other words,
You're one of those guys. You're one of those guys.
Yeah, I used to be one of those guys because I didn't understand the character. And Zack and crew, I say and crew because again, he contributed visually, but it was Goyer and the other guys. But they broke down Superman in such a way that I got to his core, and I was like, okay, so that's what the character is. That way, when you build him back up, everyone's like, I get it now.
That I respect. That I definitely respect. It's why I don't trash Man of Steel. It's most of my issues, like I said, come from things outside of the movie, be it what their decisions were or some of the impact where you have some people act like this should be the only Superman. That's what influenced my stronger actions against Man of Steel. On its own, fine. In the grander scheme of things, ugh.
And Jarrus, yeah, it's not the true interpretation, but it's a true interpretation.
Yep. By the way, someone did listen to the Lois's. I gotta say, yeah, Bosworth is always going to be my worst.
Bosworth was the worst. I'm like, what the hell was that?
She didn't have the fire. She was an utter manipulative witch.
Yeah, thank you.
I wasn't going to say it.
Manipulative of her fiance, because as soon as Superman comes back, she's like, see ya.
Yeah, manipulative of Cyclops. Boy, the guy can't catch a break, can he?
I know.
Yep.
I love where he leaves the X-Men because to follow Bryan Singer, and then he gets cut again.
Like thankfully, at least in Sonic, he has a wife.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just so funny. Like the guy can't catch a break.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to highlight this comic one more time before we log in because here's the thing. anyone saying that like Man of Steel was not an accurate portrayal of the comics, I'm this. Which comics? Because his character has existed for 90 years. I guarantee you we could find the version of Superman that's been in continuity, mind you.
Exactly.
That is consistent with Man of Steel. Just so I could do the same thing with James Gunn. Here's the thing.
Exactly.
When a character's been existed for, this is why, Robert, before I think I made this video before I met you. And anyway, I did a video that says there is no definitive version of these characters, because here's the maybe your preferred version.
Yes.
But because a character has existed for 90 years and it's been continually reinvented, there is no, this is the one version, because that defeats the purpose of reinventing the character.
Exactly. And that's, again, that's exactly why I was fine. I'm repeating myself. I'm saying again. That's why I was fine with it. My problem was those saying this is the only version.
Did you not listen to anything we just said?
Wait.
It was I guarantee you there was a comic that was the inspiration for this. And again, he literally said it wasn't Zack's interpretation.
And here's the other thing. Birthright, New 52, some one-off.
And Cameron, those were the ones, by the way, that people were talking about at the time, because this came out at the time of the New 52.
Yep, and Birthright to a degree.
Yeah, to a major degree. Earth 1. So
Earth 1, yeah, Earth 1. The fact we can name 3 right off the bat.
Golden Age Superman in the case of Jonathan Kent.
And don't try and claim, oh, Earth 1 doesn't count. When you have Shane Davis stupidly trying to claim they stole stuff from his artwork.
Yeah, but it's like no. If you say that, like, no, he had no interpretation from the comics, and then we bring up comics and you say, well, that's Elseworlds, and I go, no, don't change the argument.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I just want to say that. So I'm just gonna go off of that, but then and also yes, Man of Steel, stop talking up for Zack. Don't tell me what to do on my show. So I'm just gonna say that, but I'm just gonna do this.
Who the heck is this person anyway?
I don't know, but I'm sorry, dude. You yourself are banned. If you're gonna be an a-hole about this, I'm gonna ban you. So
good move.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm like, I have no problems. Yes, I'm for a difference of opinion, as in the case of this, but be respectful. Like I was respectful to Robert and Teladia. They were respectful toward me. See how much of a more productive conversation we have.
Exactly. I don't get people who are like that. I do not understand anyone who is like, you have to be against them or you have to be in favor. It's like, no, again, like I just said, I keep repeating myself. My problem isn't with say existing or people liking it. It's with those who are trying to make it a definitive statement.
Yeah, you don't. Is it my preferred version? Yes. You know what? That's my right as a fan.
Yes,
Do
exactly.
I want to force that on other people? No, because as a DC fan, I know there have been many interpretations of these characters.
And I will tell you this, and I told you this once before. When it was coming out, part of what led to me pushing against it as it went on was because I was fearful, and I'm sure a lot of comic readers were too, of it being almost like they're going to make this the synergy and have to make it more even closer to it. I was worried about that just as much as some other fans. Now, I realized that was a bit foolish, but at the time, yeah, it was like, I like this existing. I don't want this to become the norm.
You know what, Robert? I can understand that concern. So you know what? I respect that. And and he says some people have a dictator mindset. It's because here's the thing. There's a move, and then I promise I'm going to wrap up. But there's a thing among DCU fans that because we're moving on to Gunn's thing, we can't say anything nice about Zack.
And
I go, I'm sorry. This channel particularly, that ain't happening.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So I think that's a good place to leave it. Henry Cavill's better than David Cornsweet. And you know what? That's your opinion. About another thing, I think that Cornsweet was a pretty good Superman.
I would say this. I still want to see what Cavill would have done if he was given this material, which he has said he wanted.
Which he was going to get. I know.
Yeah,
in the next movie. So yes, there you go. That would have been really cool. But so let's let's wrap up. So Teladia, it's great having you on the show, brother. Where can we find you, and what have we got coming on your channel?
So you guys can check me out on YouTube at Teladia Plays and on X at Teladia Plays _. What I got coming up on my channel is I'll be uploading my interview with the Geek of Shiv. That'll be coming up tomorrow as we talk her origin story, her love for DC and movies and games and all sorts. So you want to tune in for that. I'll also be doing my spoiler stream next Saturday for Superman. So stay tuned for that. It won't be this weekend, it'll be next weekend. And I'll be having a guest on for that as well. So stay tuned.
Dope. Robert, how about you?
I got Pro Teachers Noobs is going on still. Having a good time. My highlight, of course, doing everything the stuff with Brit on Supergirl. And tomorrow, for my 575th stream, Jared and I are going to be going over One More Day. Plus, now that it's out, I'm going to get back into some streaming. Thanks to, I'm going to be first doing RoboCop, Rogue City, Unfinished Business. I'll be starting that hopefully tomorrow, if not the weekend. And then after that, I'll be returning to the Mafia game so I can get ready for the Mafia Old Country game.
Oh, God. So as for me, so Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are going to be comparing DC's treatment of Wonder Woman to Marvel's treatment of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. We're going to be going through Carol's history and the many ways DC has screwed up. I mean, Marvel has screwed up that character. For movie night, we're going to be on Sunday, baby, because I'm going to SuperCon on Saturday. By the way, if any of you are there, please stop by. We're going to be discussing Superman versus the Elite. For Amazon Answers, I'm going to be talking about the Clunrad run. And then as for like Wonder Woman Wednesday, I gotta see if I'm doing a collab with Britt for that. But stay heroic, everyone. Well, by the way, Don J says, which Superman do you personally think is the strongest? Cavill's, but it was for a story reason that it was for a specific reason that Gunn wanted to like depower Superman slightly.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it didn't necessarily, but I would have liked it if there was less. I think he gets his ass kicked too much in that movie, but that's besides the point. Anyway, stay heroic, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Zoe is the Maximat for life. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.